you would acknowledge to me, ma'am, and the first time I approached you with the transcript on page 21, you told him as you walked in, you said you fell asleep, correct?
Yes, that was the question that I made.
And when we watched the video, Mr. Bahena was asleep.
He could have been asleep. He could have been with his eyes closed. I wasn't in the room.
Well, he appeared to be sleeping on the video, isn't that right?
He, to me, appeared to be resting, leaning against the chair to the back of the room, yes.
And then just a bit later, he asked you, and you're telling us that it's a joke if he was going to sleep there. Is that right?
I'm not saying that it was a joke. I'm telling you that we were both chuckling. We were both laughing about it. That is what I'm telling you.
Now, at a later time, you and another male came in and you questioned my client. Isn't that right?
I will have to look at the transcripts again.
All right, let's discuss this cross-examination some more, in particular, the suppressed statements. We know there was a lot of litigation prior to trial about what comes in, what stays out, and we really saw it all coming into play today, but it can be confusing. Let me bring in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter. She is live in downtown Davenport, Iowa. Chanley, good to see you. Let's talk, please, about these suppressed statements, just from the beginning. What's in, what's out prior to coming into trial, please?
Sure, absolutely. Julie, I'm glad you asked me this because it can be a little complicated. There was more than one motion from the defense in this case to suppress evidence of this 11-hour interrogation of Bahena Rivera, and they were successful on part of that interview, 6 hours to be exact. Pamela Romero inadvertently left out part of the Miranda warning that his statements could be used against him in court. This was after he was taken into custody around 11:30 p.m. that night when that immigration detainer was placed on him. That's when she formally read the Miranda warning, but it was insufficient. So I poured through the court documents and gathered what I could from the court documents of the statements during that 6-hour period that the court suppressed. Now, this isn't an exhaustive list of statements, and I'm sure some of it was repeated after a proper Miranda warning was given, but here's specifically what the jury's not going to hear in those 6 hours of testimony or statements from the defendant. First of all, Rivera said he didn't remember doing anything to Mollie. He blacked out. Also, he blamed his memory problems on hitting his head on a goalpost while playing soccer in Mexico. He also said during that time, quote, "When I get mad, it's like I'm another person." It was, quote, possible that he did something violent to Mollie, but he didn't remember. He also told police during that time that he vacuumed his car after Mollie. During that time, he admitted to fighting with Mollie, that he put her in his car and that there was blood. He also told them, quote, "Can't say if she, Mollie, was dead or alive." At that point, he also said, "I remember that we were in the corn. I remember that's where I put her." And he agreed to lead police to the body. He described where it was, and then, Julie, he navigated them with turn-by-turn directions. That was all inadmissible. And I think that last one right there is the basis of the prosecutor's motion after the cross-examination of Romero to contest the scope of that cross-examination, where she brings up sleep deprivation, that it was a coerced confession. He wants to bring in that last part right there. Around 4:30 in the morning, that's when her client, Rivera, was so alert that he was able to give them turn-by-turn directions, walking them to the exact spot in the dark. He didn't do that sleep deprived. That's why the state wants to say this, open the door. We need to get this evidence in to show that, no, he was awake enough in the dark to go out exactly where he placed Mollie Tibbetts' body, and not show them once, but twice exactly where she was.
That is so important. I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head there, Chanley, and good for the state for trying to go there on impeachment. I would have done the same thing, because the way the defense was really trying to characterize this wasn't exactly accurate. And the state's in a tough spot because it was the defense who moved for all this to stay out, as they should have, because the warnings weren't right. But it's like you can't have it both ways. You know, they have to stay in their lane too, so to speak, and not cross those boundaries. And ultimately, during that little hearing, we heard the judge saying, defense, you didn't open the door, but we're going to keep watching this. And if you do, I might allow the state to go there with impeachment. So excellent. Thank you for that breakdown, Chanley. Let's talk a little more about Officer Romero. though, with some of the testimony today, I felt like there were points where she really could have clapped back at defense counsel really hard, but she just didn't. She just seemed to acquiesce to a lot and kind of cave, and she wasn't really confident and strong at points where I felt like she could have been, because she was just doing her job. Give us your take and recap for us, if you will, some of the direct and the cross for those viewers who may not have seen all of Officer Romero's testimony, please.
Certainly, yes. Her demeanor was consistent on direct examination and cross-examination, and I think that's important. I agree with you that that's important. There were moments that she could have probably been a little more stern, that she was doing her job, that she has a right to say this or that in an interview or an interrogation based on her training, but she didn't. Maybe she was advised, but overall didn't come across defensive, which I think also tends to lend to her credibility. But I want to show our viewers some of her demeanor on both direct and cross, and is particularly on direct, where she talks about what Bahena Rivera told her he did with Mollie Tibbetts. Let's listen.
Did you ever then press him then on more details? How did you go about doing that?
Yes, so I went to ask him, Mr. Rivera, please just let me know, give me more details, how she got into the car, what happened to her, what did you do to her? His answer was, I brought you here, didn't I? So that means that I did it. I don't remember how I did it.
So he tells you that you were pressing him for more details.
Yes,
He tells you that he brought you all the way out to her.
yes,
So that means I did it, right? It was a question, is that correct?
that is how he's put it, yes.
And then he follows that with, I don't know how I did it, is that correct?
That is correct.
So there we see the prosecutor trying to be very clear in the admissible parts of his statements that was the most damaging, that he didn't remember how he did it. But look, I brought you out here. Obviously, I did do it, to paraphrase a bit. But on cross-examination, Julie, you brought up it got a little contentious sometimes. The defense wanting to really point out major themes that I think we're going to hear once they do get to their opening statement after the close of the state's case, and that is there were police tactics used during the 11 hours that could have led to a false confession, including Romero lying to the defendant. Let's listen.
You went in and you confronted my client saying that there was hair found in the vehicle. Is that right?
I informed Mr. Rivera, they were telling me that there was hair found in the vehicle.
And you essentially were saying, hey, explain this. Is that right?
Yes, which he stated that it was hair from his daughter.
You later found out that the statement or what you were told was not true. Is that right?
Later on, again, I do not recall that.
All right. So
I did not, people were not there telling me, yes, this is true, this is not true. I was given the information, going in there, conducting the interview.
So that was one of a couple of times on cross-examination where the defense attorney wanted to bring out that Romero was given information from other officers that wasn't true. Romero, of course, claims that she didn't know whether or not, but she inquired and interrogated him on this information. Of course, you and I, Julie, know as attorneys that police are able to lie during an interrogation to a suspect, but here the cross is, look, this was influence over him. He doesn't speak English as his first language, and they had built this rapport with her during the first couple hours of this interview, and now she's lying to him, coercing him into saying more than he may have done in the first place. Plus, he has the whole immigration status hanging over his head, which he knows could lead him to be deported.
Right, exactly, Chandler. I felt like that was kind of a missed opportunity for both the police witness, because she could have said, yes, we're allowed to do that. That's part of what we're permitted to do by law, whether you like it or not, defense attorney. And then she also could have said, yeah, and by the way, ICE does get involved if somebody has committed a crime here or is just even arrested on suspicion of committing a crime. So I felt like she could have given some answers to explain to the jury a little better why what was done was done. But it is what it is. That's over with, and perhaps she could have been prepped a little better.